Welcome back. Today we're going to look at one of the very powerful tools within Photoshop, and that is the layer mask. So what is a layer mask? Well, layer mask allows us to isolate particular sectors within a layer. So think about it's using a layer but with a whole lot more muscle behind it. So here I have my moon, and I have of course my layer for my moon. And all I'm going to do to create a layer mask is I'm going to go down here to the Add Layer Mask button. Of course, you can see there's no right click option on it, so I just go ahead and click Add Layer Mask. And right away I have, of course, this looks like a white canvas linked in right next to this moon. And I'm just going to go ahead and double click on it. And of course, if you get a prompt that asks you to go into Layer Mask, that's fine. What we're going to do now is let's adjust the transparency value. You want this a little higher so you can have a region that you can work with. And we want to pretty much select or deselect the regions we're going to work with. So right now you can notice everything is selected. So right now this layer mask is treating nothing as really kind of being affected. So we're going to just go ahead and click on the minus here. So it's going to subtract from the selection. And what that's going to do is as I paint through the moon here, you'll see that it kind of becomes kind of transparent. And that's not destroying our original image in any way. It's simply just subtracting this zone from the mask. I'm going to show you the reason why we're doing this here in just a second. But let's just go ahead and subtract. That looks pretty good. Didn't end up grabbing any of the black regions. If I did, for example, grab one of these black regions on accident, I can simply just switch over to the plus sector here, click on that, and you'll see it'll add it back in for me. You, of course, can also hold down the Alt key to try and adjust those regions based upon what you currently have selected as your tool, because Alt will simply just switch between them. Now that I have this middle sector here with the moon selected, let's just go ahead and click on OK. And you can see that it's created a silhouette of sorts of that moon based upon what is currently there. Now, of course, you will see that this moon, if it looks like it's not there. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. So first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and duplicate this layer here. So I'm going to right click, duplicate layer, click OK. And I'm going to remove the mask on the copy here. So let's just click on the mask, hit delete, and you can see our yellow moon is back. So we didn't destroy that yellow moon at all. And I'm going to actually drag that yellow one underneath. So now we have the one with the mask on top, and we have layer 1 underneath. Now, the reason why I've been doing this is if I select on that thumbnail here, of course we have some basic adjustments that we can do. But up here in the adjustments panel, we have, of course, a lot of things that we talked about at the very beginning. Things such as hue and saturation, color balance, etc. I'm going to go ahead and click on hue and saturation. Now, if I go ahead and just slide the hue slider right now, you can see it affects the entire region right now, which is now ultimately what we want. We want to maybe only modify just that moon. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag the hue and saturation layer down underneath the layer that had the mask. And now when I drag this around, you can see the only thing being affected is that layer that the moon is on. Because what this effectively does, if I hide this right here, you can see it comes through the whole thing. But what this effectively does is it isolates that hue and saturation to only just that section that I'm currently working on. So again, if I come over here and adjust my hue and saturation, I can make my moon different colors without having to go in and do a selection and modify it. It allows me to very quickly and very easily recolor an object without having to mess around with any of the selection modifier tools. Now you still can use selection modifiers to go and select it and change those colors, but when here we have something like gradient, that can be a little bit more tricky. So using a layers mask can actually make that a lot easier for us. And let's just go ahead and choose a nice tone for this moon. I believe originally we had it yellow. We're going to make this moon maybe a little bit more blue today. And that is going to wrap up layer mask.